Hi there, I'm David, and this is the Slow English Podcast. You're listening to Ready, Set, English, and this is your quiet corner of the internet, a place where you can slow down, feel encouraged, and enjoy learning English without pressure. Today, I want to talk to you about something I hear from so many English learners. It's not about grammar. It's not about vocabulary. It's about confidence. Have you ever said to yourself, I understand English, I read English, but I just don't feel confident speaking it? If you've ever felt shy, nervous, or even embarrassed to speak in English, you are not alone. So many learners feel this way. And in today's episode, I want to help you let go of this idea that you have to speak perfect English to be good at it. Let's take a deep breath together and remind ourselves, progress is enough. Let's start with a question. Why don't we feel confident speaking a second language? There are many reasons, but one common feeling I hear is this: I'm afraid people will laugh at me. Let's pause right there. This fear, this worry that you'll be judged or laughed at, is completely understandable. When you speak in a language that isn't your own, you feel vulnerable. You feel exposed. And sometimes, your mouth just won't do what your brain wants it to. You know what you want to say, but the words come out slowly or awkwardly. Or maybe you use the wrong tense or mix up two sounds. And that little voice in your head says, "Ugh, that sounded stupid. I probably sound like a child. They're definitely laughing at me. But here's what I want you to know. From the bottom of my heart, most native English speakers are not laughing at you. They're not mocking you. They're not judging your grammar. They're not grading your accent. They're just listening, trying to understand. And in most cases, they're impressed that you're even trying. Because learning a language, that's brave. Let me say that again. Speaking English, especially when you're nervous, is an act of courage. And most people recognize that. Now, of course, not every person in the world is kind. There are rude people everywhere. But trust me, the average native speaker is not laughing when you make a mistake. In fact, they're probably thinking, wow, I wish I could speak another language like that. Here's another reason people feel shy about speaking. I hate my accent. Or, my English doesn't sound natural. Sound familiar? Let me tell you something. You don't need to sound British. You don't need to sound American. You don't need to sound native. You need to sound like you, in English. English is a global language now. It's spoken in India, Nigeria, the Philippines, Singapore, Canada, Australia, South Africa, and so many more. Even in the UK, English doesn't sound the same from one town to the next. Let me give you an example. There's a huge difference between someone from London and someone from Glasgow in Scotland, or someone from Liverpool or Manchester or Wales or Northern Ireland or Yorkshire. We don't all sound like the royal family. We don't all speak like Peppa Pig. Although Peppa does have a strong accent if you listen carefully. And that's the point. English isn't one accent. It's a big, messy, beautiful collection of voices. Your accent is not a mistake. It's part of your story. So instead of hiding it, be proud of it. It shows you've learned something new. It shows you've worked hard. It shows you're brave enough to communicate outside your comfort zone. Let me ask you something else. Have you ever thought, I make too many grammar mistakes. I'm not ready to speak yet. This is such a common belief, but here's the truth. You probably know more grammar than most native speakers. I'm serious. Native speakers don't sit around studying verb tenses or the difference between the present perfect and the past simple. They use the language. But they don't always understand why it works the way it does. You, on the other hand, you've studied grammar. You've done exercises. You've learned the rules. I've met learners who can explain English better than many teachers because they've studied it so carefully. So next time you feel less than a native speaker, remember, you bring something valuable too. You have knowledge, perspective, effort, and determination. That's powerful. Let's take a moment here. I want to speak to your heart for just a minute. If you've ever stayed silent in a conversation because you were afraid of making a mistake, if you've ever stopped yourself from answering a question because you thought your English wasn't good enough, if you've ever avoided a speaking class or a phone call or a job interview, I want you to know you're not alone. But also, you don't have to be perfect to be understood. You don't have to be perfect to connect with people. You don't have to be perfect to speak. You just have to be willing. You see, we often think confidence comes after we become fluent. But in reality, confidence comes when we allow ourselves to speak, even when we're not fluent. It comes when we try, when we say, okay, this might come out a little messy, but I'm going to say it anyway. And every time you do that, every time you speak up, even when you're nervous, even when your voice shakes, you build confidence. So how can you start feeling more confident? Let me give you some gentle tips. First, focus on connection, not perfection. When you speak, you're not taking an exam. You're communicating. You're sharing an idea. You're connecting with someone. If the other person understands you, that's a success. Mistakes don't ruin communication. They're part of it. Next, practice speaking with people you trust. Start small. Find a language partner, a teacher, or a friend who's kind and patient. Someone who wants to hear you speak and won't rush you or correct you too much. Confidence grows in safe spaces. Third, celebrate small wins. Did you order coffee in English today? Did you answer a question in class? Did you speak for 30 seconds without stopping? That's a win. Celebrate it, even quietly to yourself, because progress is enough. And more importantly, don't wait for perfect English. If you wait until you speak like a native speaker, you might wait forever. Speak now. Speak imperfectly. Speak honestly, because that's how you grow. Let's take another breath together. In and out. You are learning a language. That's something many people dream of doing, but never actually do. You are showing up. You are listening. You are improving, even when it doesn't feel like it. Confidence doesn't come from being the best. It comes from being kind to yourself while you learn. So if you feel shy, that's okay. If your grammar isn't perfect, that's okay. If your accent is strong, that's okay. Because you are still communicating, and that's beautiful. Before we finish, I'd like to share a few affirmations with you. You can repeat them after me, or just listen. I am allowed to speak, even if I make mistakes. My accent is part of my story. I do not need to be perfect to be understood. I am proud of how far I've come. Speaking English is an act of courage. I am enough. Progress is enough. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I hope this episode helped you feel a little lighter, a little more confident. and a little more hopeful about your English journey. This is David from Ready Set English, and you've been listening to the Slow English Podcast. Take care of yourself, speak with kindness, and remember, your voice matters. Bye for now.